Hi.
Art, it's such an enigma.
How are you?
I mean, it's been around for millennia. From cave paintings.
I was wondering who was there. It's you.
Heck, even computers have gotten into the
I
game.
gotta go
of
up here
producing some
because they're
sort of
gonna do
art.
the
What is it about that function
what?
in our civilization that
When?
draws people, compels them to
Really?
continue to want to buy
So a lot of
yet
people came
another
to.
painting of a
That
mountain
is cool.
scene or a lake or a photograph, even though it's frozen in time. I don't know what the real answer is to that. I just know that
Yeah, I walked around and I'm
is
like,
an
who's
expression
here?
of
I
our
don't know
spirit.
who's here.
It's an expression. It's
Anyway,
an
I got to go up
intimate
here. They're
look
going to
into
interview me. So
the spirit of the person who has put that thing together. And you may walk into this gallery at 1835 Paseo San Luis in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and look around the walls, and you'll see some stuff that you absolutely adore. And guess what? It's for sale. And you might see some stuff that you say, not for me. I don't know what it is that's going to compel you to find that thing that just screams itself at you, but I can pretty much guess that you'll find something here because we have a diverse range of artists from all kinds of genres, from pottery to oil paintings to photographers like myself. And so you really should take the time to travel down here and take a look around. And I think you'll like what you see. Much, much talent at the Huachuca Art Gallery. And as a result, every month we do this episode, and most often it's so that we can interview and talk with the featured artists of the month. And for the month of March, I'll be talking to two featured artists, Darlene Wilkinson, who you've seen on episodes before, and Mark Hynes, the potter, who a year ago displayed his work here as featured artist, and we had a conversation with him as well. So let's come on over and have a talk with Darlene.
hello.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going great.
See you.
It's always going great.
It's always going great. What? Tell us, give us a reminder of who you are.
So I'm Darlene Wilkinson, and I came from Virginia. I've been here about 6 years, and the first thing I did was look up a gallery, and this was the one.
This was the one.
This was the one.
And
so I'm not in any other gallery, just in this gallery.
Just in this gallery. Yeah. But you participated in this gallery now for how long? All 6 years you've been here?
Well, almost. So when I paid my dues in the very beginning, the day after it was closed for COVID, and then a year later, they had a garage sale out in the parking lot. And I came to the garage sale and I said, I think I need to pay my membership. And I paid my membership. It was closed for the second time. So I wasn't juried in for a while. And finally I got on the jury list, and I said, what do I bring? And they said, what? And I said, I'm very mixed media. They said, just bring 3 of everything. So I brought a ton of stuff.
I had a similar experience, but they were not pleased. I brought about 85 photographs and spread them across their jury desk. And they were like, oh my God, this is overkill. This is overkill.
Right. Now they just limit it,
So mixed media, what does that actually mean?
Well, for me, it means that I just work in different medias, but I do mixed media work. So something like this or this, these that have a lot of different things going on, those are actually mixed media themselves. But I work in acrylic, I work in watercolor, I work in cold wax and oil. I do lots of things. I do jewelry. I do lots of things. I do the alcohol inks. And
well, for those of you who've been keeping up with what's up at the Huachuca Art Gallery episodes for the last couple of years, you might remember that Darlene actually gave Teresa Ebbs and myself a class on, what was it?
Alcohol inks.
Alcohol ink. So we did those pours, and I think I came up with the most horrifying result.
Oh, I thought you
in
guys
all
did
of
good.
history, but it was a lot of fun. So you also do a little bit of teaching here at the gallery.
Yeah, I teach the alcohol ink class.
Uh-huh.
So it's on the second Saturday of the month from 10 to 12. And
do you have any examples of alcohol ink on display? Well, this right here.
These are here.
Well, I remember when I tried to do it, it was like a flow of some sort of eerie.
Yeah, well, they have a mind of their own.
Yeah,
it's worse than watercolor.
this mind of its own turned into a bird, which, by the way, I've noticed you do a lot of birds.
You know, and I didn't realize that until you mentioned it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking around. We got a rooster. We've got a hummingbird. We've got an owl here somewhere.
We got an owl there.
We got birds.
We got an owl over here. I know.
Birds everywhere.
Yeah, birds. Lots of birds.
And you didn't even realize you were doing
no.
it. So, what is your inspiration for some of this work? Or do you have an inspiration? It's just one of those things where you sit down, blank canvas, and you say, and then all of a sudden your hand starts moving? I'll
tell you what. I have been meditating for years. And one day I sat down to do some art. And I'm like, when I finished the piece, I don't even know if I was aware of what I was doing when I was doing it. And I'm going, oh, this feels just like when I finished meditating.
Oh, okay.
So I call myself an intuitive artist.
Very interesting. I like that term.
Yeah. So some people are very objective to this. You know, they go, no, you have to have an idea first. And I'm going, no, I don't.
Well, it's kind of like me with my writing. The same sort of thing happens. I mean, I don't know what I want to write until it's finished. And it's like, who wrote that? Really?
Really? Yeah. So it's very interesting, you know, and sometimes I'm like, really? This is what you did?
That's amazing. That's amazing. So do you have plans for the future as far as exploring new mediums, or is this pretty much going to be the gravity for? I think
this is it because, you know, I mean, you know, it's funny. When I lived in Virginia, I remember going to an open house at a gallery and they were doing weaving, I think. I said, I'm going to do that. Okay. It looks so interesting, you know, and I'm like, oh no, you got to buy all this equipment, you know. I think I'm done with doing all of that stuff, you know. So, I think, you know, I'm fine with what I do. You know, I mean, I do jewelry and I just do all kinds of stuff, you know. Some stuff never makes it to the gallery, you know, which is fine. You know, it'll go to art in the park or go on my walls or whatever, or go for gifts for somebody. But no, I do art for the love of art for myself, you know, and if people buy it, great. If they don't, great.
Well, you do go a little bit outside your own comfort zone from time to time, like, I mean, a lot of animal shots and stuff, but I'm also noticing a piece like this marble set right here. Were you inspired by any other particular artist to do that? Because I remember Phil Michaud.
Yeah, Phil does marbles a lot of times.
He does marble. I wonder if she was inspired by Phil's work, who also hangs here.
Who knows what goes in?
Yeah, exactly.
And how it comes out.
Well, it's a wonderful piece, and then you've got some very interesting star planet type of imagery up here as well.
Yeah, so it was interesting. In Virginia, I taught this spray paint class. And we did like things like this, but I wanted to do something like space related, you know? And I thought, well, I should paint it, you know? So that's what happened.
Well, you've got quite an inventory here, and it's obvious that you've been putting in a lot of time, but you also have been putting a lot of time at the gallery because you're a council member. Is that correct?
Council member on the board?
On the board.
On the board.
On the board. So, and you've been with them for a while now. So you are not just an artist here, but you're also an active participant in what happens at the gallery. So yeah, I mean, you know, everyone's great here. You know, I haven't met anyone I didn't like.
And
that's, and I think that's probably where the loyalty, the gravity of loyalty for the participants in this gallery exists, is with the idea that everyone here that hangs their work is a remarkable person with remarkable stories and hearts the size of Texas.
Definitely.
Or Virginia in your case.
Well, not anymore, but.
Not anymore.
Not
well,
anymore.
Darlene, thanks so much for sharing with us
thank
your
you.
art. And you have a reception coming up.
Yes, tomorrow.
From
3 to 5.
From 3 to 5. Is there going to be grub?
Going to be grub.
Okay, good. Grub and drinks.
Come and enjoy all the art, buy the art, eat to your heart's content.
Outstanding. Well, I'll be there. I promise you.
Cool.
And because I'll be hungry.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I'm gonna move on from you. So if you can take the thing off and hand it over here to Mark Hynes. How's it going?
Good.
Now, Mark and I go back a little ways because we've done so many docents together here at the gallery that we know each other like the backs of our hand. But you may have forgotten, since it's been a year since he and I last had an interview when he was featured artist, who he is and what he's about. Tell us a little bit about your background, Mark.
Well, I'm from Maryland, moved out here about 35 years ago to work on the fort as an engineer. And I retired 2012, and I took a pottery class at Cochise College.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter was actually taking nursing, and she said, "Hey, Dad, come and take a pottery class. I need an elective." So I went and did that, made a whole bunch of pots, and never stopped, except during COVID, making pottery. So that's a fairly new thing for me. And I was interested in photography before that, actually, and just.
And you brought a couple of photographs. We're going to take a look at those here in a second, but you've also brought some of your photography skills for this particular featured artist show.
Yeah, I did pottery first here. I was juried in about about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And I've done art in the park a few times. That's what actually got me in here, because the gallery actually runs art in the park. So I came in to sign up for art in the park, and I was like, oh, maybe I should jury in. So I juried in for pottery. Photography is actually pretty hard to get in.
Because people like me are occupying space.
Right, there's only so much space on the wall.
Yeah.
And so I did actually get juried in for photography in 2023, but I'm still on the waiting list. So we'll see what.
Well, we'll take a look at what people should be waiting for and have availability to for the month of March.
Right.
By the way.
So when you're featured artist, you can put any of your art up. So that's an advantage. And my few photos I brought, there's 2 on the wall, and then there's these. So I like moon. I like moon photography. I like landscapes. There's just so much in Cochise County. It's kind of a photographer's paradise. Just to be able to go around all the unusual things, the beautiful sunsets, sunrises.
Absolutely. And that's why I never get bored of photography. In this area, you never run out of things to take pictures of. Absolutely. Now, I think my favorite, well, besides this picture of a frozen Car Falls, is the first one that we saw. And, there's been literally a zillion photographs taken of the moon. So the question is how do you make your moon shot apart from the zillion others?
Well, you make it Cochise County this is the Huachuca Mountains, and zoomed in, and this is kind of hard to do because it's right in the morning, right when the sun was coming up. So you still get a really good shot of the moon and you get a good shot of the trees there. So you have something interesting in the foreground.
Beautiful definition on the moon, the craters. It really draws you in. I really like that picture. And over here, you have another frame picture hanging on the wall that, and this is, I like this because I always enjoy the blend of shadow and light. Mm-hmm. And the mountains do a remarkable job of being able to show the waltz of shadow and light at certain times of the day in ways that they never are the same. And so this picture taken 5 seconds later would have been a completely different photograph. Yep. And it's an amazing thing about photography is being able to capture the same image several times and have it emote differently each and every time you do it. So this is really a nice picture and as well, a lot of definition in your work. Really good. But you know, you do more than just photography and pottery. You're kind of a jack of all trades.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you use your hands a lot.
Yeah.
And so pottery is right up your lane. And the reason why I bring that up is because last year when we looked at your work, it was awesome, but it was also traditional stuff. Bowls and plates and cups. Well, in a single year since the last time that we talked, you have moved on. And I always tell people the hardest thing to do as an artist of any form is to find your own niche. A niche where people see a piece that you've done, whether it's a photograph or whether it's oil painting or even pottery, and see that and say, oh, that's a Mark Hynes piece. I think you've arrived there, Mark, because when I take a look at some of your work, it's incredible. For instance, what a lot of people may not, I didn't realize this donut looking thing right here, that is a teapot. Tell us a little bit about what entered your head in order to create a teapot that looks like it came out of an Alice in Wonderland book.
Right. Well, you know, donut vases are kind of in right now, you know, because they're unusual. And so I thought I'd make a donut teapot, which is a little tricky because this is made on the wheel. So you have to run this out and pull up the sides and join it together and turn it into a functional teapot. It is actually functional. Pour the hot water in there and it comes out there. So, yeah, I mean, I like to do functional things, as you can tell, pretty much. And almost all my stuff is functional, but it can be unique.
Absolutely. I mean, these are these decorative sorts of additions to your work you didn't do as much a year ago. Now you've really employed this idea of swirls and openings and all sorts of things, artistic design, without losing the functionality of its intent. For instance, what exactly would this be used for?
It's a luminaire. You just put a candle in there, and when the candle flickers, it makes interesting shadows and light on the wall. So
I can see that. I can see that. And so if we move down on the bottom here, and you brought two of these, you'll see a rice bowl that has kind of a saddle for the chopsticks. Right? What inspired that? Did you see that somewhere? Or?
I did see that. I'm always looking out there, you know, to potters, you know, modern potters that I admire and follow, like John the Potter, Matthew Kelly, very talented people. So I look at what they're doing and I, you know, come up with my own kind of designs. For example, that vertical spoon rest is actually pretty popular. What inspired me for that is I was at Art in the Park and somebody comes in, hey, do you have a vertical spoon rest? And I'm like, what is that? So I had to go out, look on Etsy and see all the different ones. And some people make them by like making a mug and then cutting the front out of it. But I came up with this design that to me, it's more practical. Doesn't waste like half your clay with the base and then the handle thing that holds the spoon. So that's been really popular. And another thing about, I think that makes my work niche-ish, if
Niche-ish?
that's a word, is the glazes. I try to mix glazes, and I even make my own glazes from recipe. So
these glazes and these colors are self-created.
Some of them are commercial, but others are created from a recipe, and you put all these minerals together, and you get what you get. And so.
Well, folks, you may see a lot of things here that you can find other places. You will never find exactly these pieces for one reason or another. But it's obvious the amount of effort that goes into this. And we had a conversation yesterday about the difficulty of pottery, especially when you combine two pieces. For instance, if we look over here at this chip and dip bowl, which I think is the coolest thing ever. You put your dip in here and your chips in here. It's easy to see what the function is for, but it's difficult to imagine how hard it was to piece this together. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, it is pretty tricky. You just make a big bowl and then a smaller bowl. And there's different ways to make chip and dips. You could just put the bowl in the middle or stick a whole bowl to the side. The way John the Potter does it, he folds the side down and stands the bowl up here. But I wanted one that you could, put it, say you want to set it upside down. So this isn't sticking up. It's a little bit easier to use that way. So this smaller bowl is cut out to fit exactly into this big bowl. And that's not easy to do because it's not just a straight cut. It's a, kind of like a parabolic cut on there. So that takes a few hours to get that right before you can actually slip and score it together.
Or another thing we talked about was something as simple as a lid yesterday. And having a lid created so it fits nicely over the piece. And the one thing that we talked about that fascinated me was the idea that when you bake your clay and then you glaze your clay, there's a lot of shrinkage that happens in the process. So you have to actually do math.
Right.
You have to do mathematical equations in order to figure out how much shrinkage is going to happen so that this lid is going to fit on top of that cup or that pot or whatever.
Yeah, there's 100 different ways to make a lid, and lids are tricky. What inspired this is my wife. She's my biggest fan of my pottery. I've made a lot of teapots. You don't see many teapots because she nabs them all before they ever get out there. But she loves her coffee really hot. So I'll make a coffee mug with the lid on it. So it keeps your coffee hot for longer. So she enjoys that.
Well, before I let you go, there's one more thing that I want to address because, again, when we talked yesterday, it fascinated me that there is a process for cracked clay. If it's intended, it's called one thing. If it's unintended, it's called another. And you have two examples of that right here. Can you explain that?
This is a wheel coaster. I call it a geode coaster or crackle coaster. This process here is actually cracked glass. And it cracks because the glass has a different coefficient of expansion than the clay does. And what I was telling you yesterday was there's a different name for that process depending whether you want it or not. Like a lot of times, make a plate, you don't want it to crackle.
Right.
And so if that happens because your glaze doesn't match clay right, that's called crazing. You don't want crazing. You do want crackle. So it's called crackle if you're doing it on purpose.
So crackle is doing it on purpose, even though the outcome is exactly the same thing. So why don't you just say crazing is crackling?
I don't know.
Who's going to know that you didn't intend to
Crackle
do
sounds
that?
better. Crazing doesn't sound good.
No, crazing doesn't sound too good, does it? All right. Well, Mark, I appreciate you returning for another episode on this.
Absolutely.
And it's obvious that you have moved forward in your art. And, that's what it's about. It's about growth. It's about expanding. It's about learning more things. And you've done a wonderful job with that in your photography. I can't wait to see your work hanging up on the walls
Thank
here.
you, Sean.
So, again, thank you.
Well, thank you.
We will take that from you because Teresa's turn.
And come see us tomorrow, 3 to 5.
3 to 5 at the gallery.
Saturday,
Please.
March 1st.
Saturday, March 1st. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much,
You'll see this
Teresa.
video later.
Here you are.
I am.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome back to yet our, I don't know,
Another month.
into our second year of doing this.
We are.
And you still always have something going on. What is with
That's
that?
because we are an up and moving gallery. We like to do stuff and keep busy.
Well, what do we got coming up in March?
Well, every second Saturday of the month, we have alcohol inks with Darlene Wilkinson from 10 to 12, and her classes are $20. And then almost every Saturday, we have plein air painting with Nathan. Just contact the gallery or Nathan for information on whether or not the weather's up for doing that. On Tuesdays, weekly, we have the oil painting classes with Joanne Berry from 9 to 12. It's $60 for 4 classes for that. And then every Tuesday and Wednesday, we have our youth art classes with Nathan. He's a busy man.
Nathan is a busy man. That's Nathan Zort Russell, the mad scientist painter from the gallery. Yes.
But those classes are from 4 to 5, so you can drop your kids off after they get out of school. And they're $12 for the first student and $10 for each additional student that's in the family. And the first class, if you're new to it, is free. And then on March 15th, we have an oil pastel animal portraits with Lindsay Roberts from 1 to 4:30. And the cost for that class is $40, and it's a limit of 8. So sign up quick. We have an event that was scheduled, and it was in our artifacts, so we apologize for that, but it is rescheduled. It was scheduled for March 22nd, and it has been rescheduled to April the 19th. It's the water-based oils with Joan Seraph. So that's $30 for that class, and it is from 10 to 12, but on April 19th. Then on March 22nd, we have an HAA Studio Jewelry Show event with Kathy Reebok. And our studio will be full to the max, I am sure, with beautiful jewelry by Kathy Reebok Designs. And that will go on from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the 22nd. And then we have a new edition that didn't make our artifacts. And it will be March 29th. It's a painting digital flowers with Amanda Bethard. So that will be from 1 to 3 p.m. And the cost for that is $15. So for that one, you'll need to bring your tablet or your laptop, whatever you want to draw on.
Okay.
That's digital.
Okay. Well, that's a lot going on.
It
isn't
is.
And that's the way we roll here at the gallery. We always have something going on because we have that big studio in the back, and you don't find that very often in many galleries. So you can either come here to shop around, or you can sign up for a class and see whether or not you have any spark or any talent for any of the wide variety of genres of art that we hang here on the walls. We even occasionally have photography classes. I haven't done it yet, but I've been motivated to at least consider the idea, and I'll consider it. But anything that you can think of, the Huachuca Art Association's gallery at 1835 Paseo San Luis in Sierra Vista is probably going to have something for you. Just sign up and come on in. We also occasionally have demos.
We do. In fact, we just had a demo on a Saturday not too long ago, just a week or two ago.
And those demos give you at least a snapshot impression of what it takes in order to develop the kind of arts that is on the demonstration floor. So again, a lot going on here, and it never ceases to amaze me. I've been a member of the gallery now for 5 years, just over 5 years, right before COVID hit. Yeah, so I put my stuff in and shut the doors. It was a wonderful experience. But still, 5 years, I overheard a couple of people talking earlier this morning. Where is the time going? It's just flying by. And so in the 5 years that I've been here, I got to say, if you haven't yet walked through that front door, time is flying. Hurry up. Get in here. Take a look around. There's a lot of spirited people that hang their work here, and you really are missing out if you haven't wandered through that front door. I hope to see you soon. I'm Sean Yeterian, a.k.a. the Arizona Yeti. This is Teresa Ebbs, who's with me every single episode, telling you about the massive amounts of events happening, and we will see you again next month. Take care, everyone.